pas cette petite idée de faire sa merde.
C'est un malentendu.
Mais c'est quoi ce malentendu de merde?
Et qu'elle voit la merde qu'elle a foutue dans ma vie.
Soit tu gardes ça pour toi et tu vis un calvaire jusqu'à la fin de ta vie. Soit tu dis tout à ta mère. Elle a le droit de savoir.
Le divorce est-elle irrévocable, madame? Et vous, monsieur, est-ce que votre décision est également irrévocable?
Made in 2013 in France, Passe the Past by Asghar Farhadi is his first international cooperation with a non-Iranian filmmaking company. Immaculate characterization, along with precise narratology, in this picture brought him nomination for Palme d'Or Award and winning the festival's Best Actress Award at 2013 Cannes Film Festival. It was also nominated for Best Foreign Language Film at 71st Golden Globe Awards. The film received critical acclaim and admired to be sensitively directed and powerfully acted.
The past is not just the name, it very much goes beyond a mere name. Or the title of the movie, and you can see you can feel the strong presence of past even in the present time, in the current situation of affairs. You see the past is emphasized on in different sequences, different frames. Everyone and everything has a past or a history which is emphasized on. You see different characters approach differently, however, to this notion of the past. For example, Marion tries to deny it, Samir tries to fix it, and Ahmad probably wants to get back to it because he's got some kind of feeling of nostalgia.
Ahmad's challenge seems to have been that he was quite stuck in the past, in a way that he would like to move backward in time and place, to his homeland. In a conversation with Shahryar, his fellow Iranian friend, he says, "You don't belong in here, you never have been," and recommends Ahmad to cut free from the past.
که فکر کنم مثلا 4 سال پیش من نرفته بودی. 4 سال پیش نرفته بودی، سال بعدش میرفتی. نه 2 سال بعدش میرفتی. تو آدم اینجا نبودی.
Besides, we have some sort of strong presence of people's or characters' past. Ahmad's stuff is still in Marion's basement, which somehow emphasizes his presence, which has remained from the past. And we can feel a presence of Samir strongly through his belongings, which is here and there in Marion's house. The wet color, which again is emphasized on, we can see that it stains Ahmad's t-shirt, which emphasizes the fact that characters inevitably somehow leave their traces and marks when they get into somebody's life, and similarly they impact each other's psyche or souls as well.
میتونه تا آخر وقت لکه باشه. لباس احمد یه لکه همیشه میمونه. لکه‌اش مثل اون لکه‌ای که اون لباسی که تو خوش‌رویی صحبتش میشه. بحث اینکه رنگ میریزه یه جا پاک نمیشه، یه لکه‌ای که روی لباسی رو پاک نمیشه.
At the beginning we think that Ahmad is more linked with the past and want to break the divorce which is coming, but in a way he appears to be more free than the others because he has no guilt into the story about the sting. He always asks, at the beginning of the movie, when he arrives, he asks Mary if she's okay, if he tries to speak with Lucy and try to fix the situation. Mm-hmm. So he respects her consent, and he's an introvert. Mm-hmm. And so it's really slowly that he gets into the new situation. And us, as a spectator, we received information really slowly. And so the more we go in the movie, in the story, we have new informations, and we can rebuild the puzzle of their past lives. Mm-hmm. And he took those parts and try to find a new place into this dysfunctional family, we can see that he's really at the center of the movie. First, I think, it's the character who has the most developed personality, and then by step, he searched for the truth. He tried to fix situations. Mary is more extravagant, and we understand that she had multiple husbands and a complex circle of family and friends. And if we look at the fridge, there is a lot of photographs. The house is really full of small objects, and she's the only one who gets mad, like really mad. At the end of the movie, she yelled at her daughter and asked her to leave.
آره اتفاقا روش آقای فرهادی هم این هست که راجع به گذشته شخصیت‌ها صحبت بکنه، به خاطر اینکه حتما موقع نوشتن فیلمنامه به همچین چیزی احتیاج هست که آدم وقتی میخواد شخصیتی رو خلق بکنه توی مرحله نوشتن فیلمنامه احتیاج داره که از گذشته‌اش هم بدونی یا گذشته‌اش رو پیش خودش تخیل بکنه.
تو چیزی یادت میاد از بچه بودی احمد با شما زندگی می‌کرد؟
Tu rappelles l'époque où tu avais ce souvenir de l'époque où Ahmad était avec toi?
Oui, mais j'en ai quelques-uns, mais pas autant que ici, je pense. Il y a un peu trop jeune.
Past is a temporal concept, which I believe, or at least seems to be like this, that it has geographical consequences as well. We are dealing with Naima, Samir, Ahmad, who all belong to the Middle Eastern diaspora. I mean, each one rooted in another time and geography with multiple numbers of stories and pasts, in fact.
Characters' surroundings correspond to a certain stage they are in their personal lives. Mary is trying to renew her house as well as her life. Samir's place is devastated and dilapidated, as his emotional state is.
Farhadi's cinema, I think, is resistant to any kind of simplification. At the beginning of the film, actually, we might jump into the conclusion it is simply about a love triangle between Ahmed, Mary, and Samir. But gradually we realize that the film actually unfolds a much complicated web of emotional involvement that include Lucy, Celine, Fuad, and Naima, who is actually an employee working at Samir's dry cleaning store.
Farhadi deliberately avoids resolution. Each possible cause reflects the perspective of a different character, but the truth remains elusive. In this film, the past is not a clear timeline, but a web of subjective interpretation shaped by guilt, denial, and uncertainty. The chaotic domestic setting mirrors the inner turmoil of the characters. Mary's cluttered apartment, resembling a second-hand shop packed with emotional residue, is a visual metaphor for psychological stagnation. Both Ahmed and Samir try to repair this physical space, unclogging drains, replacing light bulbs, repainting walls. Yet their efforts are constantly undone. In one scene, a bucket of paint spills, and each attempt to clean it only worsens the mess. The smudges spread further across the floor. This futility mirrors their emotional condition. The past cannot be neatly erased or covered up.
Ahmed and Samir are going out of their way to find out what is the truth. Ahmed is actually doing wisely because, maybe it's kind of weighs on his conscience, and he doesn't want, like a person on a quest, he has returned to France only to fix things in Mary's life and return to Iran. But on the other hand, I think Samir is the one who is also trying to fix things, but in his own way. And I think the fact that he has got a dry cleaning shop is not coincidental. He's whitewashing. Rather than fixing things, he is whitewashing. And this is a very recurring motif. Beautifully, all the way through the film, we have the motif of whitewashing, repainting, covering the stains, he goes out of his way to cover actually the walls of Mary's house. So in line with his profession as the owner of a, let's say, dry cleaning store, he's the one who is trying to cover up rather than really delve into the depths of things. And also the way Farhadi actually makes links between all these images of covering up and hiding stains. We shouldn't take for granted that how we don't know actually what the cause, what prompted Celine to commit a suicide. We don't know it, and we never realized what actually prompted her. We know that how she committed a suicide. She drank some whitening material in Samir's shop. Okay, even the material she actually drank to commit a suicide is linked to that whitewashing stain and the motive, which is all the way through the film very systematically. And I think this makes the cinema of Farhadi this much unique and mathematically correct.
Samir and Mary seem to have one thing in common. They prefer to move forward through the ordeal they are caught up in. They keep saying, let's forget about the past, let's think about the baby. However, they fail to rid themselves neither from the influence nor from the memories of the past.
Again, quite interesting, Xavier, that you mentioned place, because the experience we are faced with is somehow intertwined with time and place. The obsession is time, past and present, and the borders are not really clear-cut. I mean, this is the point. And then it is again, there's another dimension which is added to the whole complexity of things going on there, and that is place or location. You can see that, for example, Marion lives in a dead-end street. I believe it could signify her emotional state in life, I mean, which always comes to an end. Probably this is the third serious attempt of Marion to fall in love and have a normal life, love someone. She lives next to a railroad, and that's quite interesting. Watching people come and go, somehow like a stage, watching people come into her life and go out of her life as well. And this is quite interesting, and somehow again signifying some aspects of the character and giving depth to the character and the story as well. So I believe that the director encourages us to closely examine the concepts of time, place, along with human relationships. We can never imagine the relationship without the concept of time and place. And that is why location and place is that much emphasized on. I mean, in the first 20 minutes of the film, we are somehow bombarded with a series of questions, unanswered questions, some of which we find answers, some of which still remain unanswered till the end of the story.
As the audience, we can never know for sure why Mary's hand was bandaged. Did Mary really act mean when he invited Ahmad to her house, which she was sharing with her new partner? Or did she really need Ahmad to be around and help? Did Ahmad make a moral decision by letting Mary and Samir know about the emails, which probably left Naima jobless at last?
This fundamental impenetrability of truth is established in the very first scene. At the airport, Ahmed and Mary are seen through a glass partition, lip reading in silence. The audience, like the characters, is denied clear communication. This visual motive recurs later in the film. For example, when we see characters through rolled-up car windows as a police officer prepares to find Mary for parking illegally outside Lucy's school. It reinforces the idea that understanding is always partial, muted, or distorted, both literally and metaphorically. A similar technique appears at a pivotal moment when Samir calls Mary out of her pharmacy to tell her she was not responsible for Celine's suicide attempt. As he speaks, the glass door swings shut, cutting off their voices from us, the viewers. Farhadi seems to argue that even the most intimate relationships are haunted by what remains unspoken or unknowable.
Can we go beyond the surface layer of the story and come to a deeper understanding and perception about human beings and the nature of human relationships throughout the story?
What each character does and decides is based on their limited knowledge as well as their circumstances, which is quite justified from their own perspectives. Naima has a story of her own. In her eyes, she did something to fix her position as an unauthorized worker. She believes that Samir's wife did not even get to notice the email she was sent, because if she had, she wouldn't have tried to kill herself in front of the eyes of Samir and Naima. She certainly would have gone to pharmacy and let Mary know about her suicide as an act of revenge. Samir thinks deeply after he listens to Naima and even calls her back, probably to ask her to return to work.
C'est pas à cause de ce que j'ai fait. Et c'est toi qui as donné son adresse mail à cette petite merdeuse. Mais elle n'a pas lu l'email, sinon elle aurait tout su. Tu croyais que ce serait devant moi qu'elle serait venue boire du détergent? Elle serait partie se tuer là-bas, dans la pharmacie, devant elle. Ou devant vous, là-haut. Pourquoi devant moi?
C'est rentré.
Non, pas encore. Attention à la peinture.
فرهادی سعی میکرد از زوایای دید آدمایی که توی هر فصل وجود داشتن به بقیه ماجرا نگاه کنه. شاید نکته خیلی خیلی جالب که کرو من اینجا همه ازش صحبت میکردن و هم براشون عجیب بود و هم براشون جالب بود، میزانسنایی بود که فرهادی در موقعیت‌های بازیگر را قرار میداد که شاید سخت‌ترین حالت و یا پیچیده‌ترین وضعیت رو به لحاظ کاربرد نور و شرایط در حقیقت ساختاری به لحاظ بصری داشتن و اون درست زیر چارچوبای در بود و یعنی تو دو تا موقعیت نوری مختلف آدما درست تو وسط اون قرار می گرفتن، یعنی نه از نور موقعیت پشت سر خودشون نه از شرایط پیش روشون، بلکه درست توی چارچوبای قرار می گرفته که معمولا تو سینما از این پرهیز میشه، یعنی آدما رو اونجا پرسوناژها رو اونجا نگه نمی‌داره.
Farhadi's cinematic approach reinforces these ideas. With one exception, the film avoids long shots, staying tightly focused on the character's emotional immediacy. The past is a chambered drama presenting fragments of people's lives for us to judge, not only as spectators but also as jurors, though our verdicts remain inconclusive. The lack of physical distance reflects the character's inability to gain emotional perspective. They are too close, too enmeshed, too deeply caught in unresolved histories to see a clear way forward. In the past, Farhadi doesn't merely tell a story. He carefully excavates the emotional residue left behind by broken relationships. His characters yearn for closure, but the world they inhabit is built in such a way that closure remains just out of reach. This is a recurring theme in Farhadi's cinema, seen in films like About Ellie, A Separation, and The Salesman. When attempting to reach a definitive conclusion about the twists in these stories, it is wiser to recall Ahmed's words to Lucy. You could spend the whole night weaving one speculation after another.
A question from you, Parvaneh. Would you agree with the, of course, a theory or idea that Fuad is Samir's past, and as well as Lucy being Marion's past? Probably they are representing somehow their parents, the way that their parents were brought up and grew up.
It is probable, yeah. There are some basically, I think, character montage at play in Farhadi's cinema.
Contrary to what we normally tend to believe, we don't have much access to the past. We basically reconstruct the past memories according to our prejudgments and perceptions. Therefore, memory seems not to be a reliable source when it comes to definitive judgments. For example, Shahriyar takes Lucy as her younger sister and confidently tries to make her remember her childhood attempt to learn biking. Farhadi emphasizes the fact that past is undeniable yet unreachable, or at least not as reachable as we think it is. The characters can never get rid of the past, nor can they eliminate the traces of their presence and others from a certain physical surrounding. He clearly puts the audience in a situation which is simply beyond judgment. Everyone, even the victim, has their share of the situation, and all the people involved are to blame, if any. The paradox artistically depicted is that, while we can never remove someone's trace from our lives, we may never access their true intentions and multi-layered realities, probably not because they are sly, but because they are not fully aware of their own intentions in the first place.